September 29th, 2025, 3:47 p.m. local time, Eastern Caribbean Sea. On the bridge of the U.S. Coast Guard cutter Hamilton, a radar screen suddenly flares. A new contact, sharp, fast, deliberate. Not a fishing boat. Bearing 28, range 27 nautical miles. Speed rising past 20 knots. The echo strengthens, pulsing across the display. Steel, not fiberglass. Combat Information Center confirms. Venezuelan patrol vessel, Guaycaipuro class. No ice signal. No radio hail. Just diesel engines screaming louder with every sweep of the radar. This isn't routine. This isn't another drug runner chase. It's something else. CIC pushes the update. CPA under 10 miles and closing fast. Tension spreads across the deck. One thing is certain. This Venezuelan ship isn't drifting. It's hunting. Through binoculars, the grey silhouette sharpens against the horizon. Twin masts, forward-mounted 76mm gun. No mistake, Venezuelan Navy. But its angle tells the story. It's sliding directly between the Hamilton and a smaller, fast-moving skiff already marked on radar. Classic smuggler profile. The bridge officer's voice is steady, clipped. Unidentified Venezuelan naval vessel. This is the United States Coast Guard cutter operating in international waters. Alter course immediately. Silence. The same call goes out in Spanish. Still nothing. Just the radar return pulsing faster. The Venezuelan cutter accelerating, engines roaring. Inside CIC, logs confirm the bearing change. Speed now 22 knots and climbing. This is no coincidence. The Hamilton's captain keeps his eyes locked on the display. Rules of engagement are clear: warn, show presence, document, then act. But patience has limits. The Venezuelan cutter's wake cuts closer, closing the gap not just with the Hamilton, but with the suspected smuggler dead ahead. Every sailor on deck feels it. That quiet, heavy tension before either diplomacy or disaster. Mark this as intentional, the officer of the deck orders. They're pushing for position. Still no radio, no lights, no signals. Just a warship carving through open water it has no legal claim to. And every second, the Coast Guard's options narrow. Because once that Venezuelan cutter reaches the smuggler first, Hamilton's mission changes. From interception to confrontation. The captain doesn't hesitate. Prepare the over-the-horizon team. Launch the Dolphin. Get the RHIB wet. Orders roll through the ship like a current. On the flight deck, rotors begin to spin. The MH-65 Dolphin, bright orange and unmistakable, lifts into the wind. Its flare turret hums to life. Infrared sensors locking onto movement across the waves. Below, the boarding team climbs into the RHIB, the rigid hull inflatable boat. Kevlar vests secured, M4s slung, sidearms checked, helmets fastened, comms green. They've trained for smugglers. But everyone knows this isn't just a go fast with cocaine. This is a foreign navy in the mix. CIC updates flash on the monitors. Venezuelan cutter accelerating 24 knots. It's slicing directly across the RHIB's projected intercept path. Intentional. Surface watch confirms. They're maneuvering to block. The captain's voice stays calm. Document everything. We stay by the book. Coast Guard ROE is precise. Warn. Show presence. Intercept the smugglers. There's no step for trade paint with a foreign navy. The Dolphin climbs to 300 feet, rotors chopping through humid air. Within seconds, it's orbiting wide, streaming live FLIR imagery to the bridge. On screen, the smuggler, a low-profile speedboat with oversized fuel tanks lashed to the stern. Classic cartel design, but between the Hamilton and its target stands the Venezuelan cutter, a wall of steel. From the RHIB, comms crackle. They're crossing us. Repeat, on a collision vector. The Hamilton throttles back slightly, buying space without changing course. The Venezuelan message is clear. You're not boarding anyone without going through us. Radar echoes solidify, the distance shrinking. One wrong move, and this turns from law enforcement to international crisis. Every system aboard Hamilton is live, sensors hot, weapons safetied, presence not provocation. The boarding team grips the RHIB's rails. The Dolphin circles above. CIC logs every movement. The Venezuelan cutter keeps pressing, bold, unblinking, daring the Coast Guard to flinch first. The Hamilton's engines ease, but her bow doesn't budge. The cutter stays locked on course toward the smuggler, even as the Venezuelan ship throws up a wall of steel and spray. From the air, the Dolphin dips lower, just 200 feet above the waves. Its infrared feed beams straight into CIC. Target vessel confirmed. One go fast, extended fuel bladders, estimated 4 persons aboard. Clear as day. A long, narrow hull, extra tanks, running hot toward open shipping lanes. But every path to that target now runs beneath the shadow of a Venezuelan warship. The Hamilton hails again, firm and clear. Venezuelan naval vessel, you are operating unsafely in international waters. Alter course immediately. Still silence. Every sailor on board knows what's at stake. This isn't just a drug bust anymore. It's a standoff. Layered over the mission, the Combat Information Center never stops. Bearing changes, radar sweeps, engine signatures. Every move is geotagged, time-stamped, and logged. This isn't just evidence for a courtroom, it's evidence for Washington and the United Nations. The Venezuelan warship holds its line, shadowing close, but the smuggler is still out there, and the Hamilton isn't letting go. On the water, in the air, and across radar screens, the scene balances on a knife's edge. One wrong maneuver could trigger chaos. Then the smuggler makes its move. Engines roar, the small boat bouncing hard across the swells, bow pointed east toward the shipping lanes. From 300 feet above, the MH-65 Dolphin reacts instantly. It banks hard, dropping a bright warning flare across the smuggler's bow. A standard Coast Guard signal, non-lethal but impossible to ignore. The go-fast jolts. Crew members scramble. They know the game is over. With a helicopter above and a cutter closing in, there's nowhere left to run. Hamilton's RHIB slams across whitecaps, spray blinding, but the coxswain unfazed. At 40 knots, the boarding team closes the distance. Rifles down, but ready. US Coast Guard. Stop your vessel immediately! The command blares in English and Spanish through loud hailers. This time it works. The smuggler throttles back, wake fading, hands going up. Seconds later, coasties are aboard. Boots on fiberglass, weapons low, eyes scanning. The suspects comply, faces pale, hands raised. The chase is over. Below deck, it doesn't take long. Wrapped bundles stacked tight. Bales of cocaine, plus containers of chemical precursors and fentanyl feedstock. Exactly what Southcom has been tracking for weeks. Contraband confirmed. Estimated weight over 1 ton. Everything is logged, photographed, sealed, by the book. But the job's not over. Because just 3 and 12 nautical miles off the beam, the Venezuelan cutter still lurks. Silent, watching. Its silhouette stays on radar, shadowing every move the Hamilton makes. Its presence isn't just intimidation, it's a message. Back on the RHIB, the team scans the horizon nervously. They have suspects in custody, but the real pressure is still out there. A grey warship holding position, close enough to matter. The Hamilton's captain knows it too. Every minute that ship refuses to break away, the risk of escalation hangs in the air. What should have been a straightforward drug seizure has become something far bigger, and nobody knows how or when it will end. 40 tense minutes pass. The boarding team secures the smuggler, collects evidence, cuffs suspects. Above, the Dolphin circles, its sensors locked on both vessels, smuggler and shadow. On Hamilton's radar, the Venezuelan cutter holds steady, 3 to 12 nautical miles, constant speed. No radio, no lights. Then finally, movement. The grey hull angles starboard. The CPA widens, 5 miles, then 6, then 9. A quiet wave of relief ripples through the bridge. Then, for the first time, the radio crackles. A male voice, thick Spanish accent. United States vessel, we are on sovereign patrol duty. We observe only. The Hamilton's captain answers, calm but firm. Your maneuvers were unsafe. All transmissions and movements have been recorded. Silence. The Venezuelan ship holds its new course, slowly widening the gap. Within minutes, it fades from sight, just a faint echo on radar. The Dolphin maintains its orbit until the contact is well clear, then climbs to 500 feet and returns for recovery. Back on the Hamilton, the captain exhales for the first time in an hour. The smugglers are secured, the evidence is logged. The crisis, narrowly avoided. But this wasn't an isolated encounter. Just weeks earlier, in September 2025, US Southern Command made headlines with a rare admission. 2 Venezuelan smuggling vessels were kinetically neutralized in international waters after ignoring repeated warnings. The strikes were executed under Coast Guard authority, with Navy intelligence and surveillance backing them up. The action was legal. It was also explosive. Caracas erupted. State media accused Washington of piracy and called for the defense of Venezuelan sovereignty at sea. Almost overnight, Venezuelan patrol activity surged. Ships that once hugged their coast began pushing deep into international lanes, sometimes deliberately shadowing US vessels. That's the world the Hamilton was sailing into. And here's what makes the US Coast Guard different. Unlike the Navy, it wears 2 hats, Under Title 10, it's a branch of the armed forces. Under Title 14, it's a law enforcement agency. That means a Coast Guard cutter can seize drugs, arrest smugglers, and submit evidence in court, while operating shoulder to shoulder with destroyers and carriers. It's a unique mission, and in the Caribbean, it's one of Washington's sharpest tools. For Venezuela, flexing its Guaycaipuro-class cutters isn't about winning a fight. It's about pressure, slowing US patrols, complicating operations, and sending a message. You're not the only ones watching these waters. For the Coast Guard, the job never changes. Keep drugs off the streets, keep the patrol steady, and never let provocation derail the mission. Because the real war here isn't between warships, it's between smugglers and the law. What happened that afternoon in the Caribbean perfectly shows how thin that line really is. On paper, the Hamilton's mission was simple: intercept a smuggler. In practice, it became a chess match with a foreign Navy ship, both sides maneuvering inches from escalation. That's the Coast Guard's world. So here's today's question for you. Should the US expand Coast Guard patrols after the September strikes? Or does restraint keep the Caribbean safer? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If you enjoyed this breakdown, like, subscribe, and hit the bell so you don't miss the next encounter at sea. And hey, if you want to go a step further and support the channel directly, join the fleet. You'll get loyalty badges, priority replies, and help us bring more real maritime stories to the surface. Head over to our channel page, click join and get on board, because in the Caribbean, every nautical mile has a story. And sometimes that story ends with smugglers in cuffs and a Venezuelan patrol boat eating Hamilton's wake. See you in the next one.